Greetings, Alpha 40 fans. Welcome to my monthly deck tech and discussion video for the month of December 2024. This month, I'm going to recap the deck I ran in the month of November, which was a mostly red aggro burn deck that did really well. To my surprise, it made the top 8. This might be my third time making the top 8 in Alpha 40 League. And so I'll recap those matches for you on the channel today as I recap what's in the deck. We ran 3 copies of Basic Island for the blue spells, 8 copies of Basic Mountain for all the red spells, and then I ran a bunch of dual lands to give me off-colored mana, green and white, so I could run Regrowth and Disenchant. I ran a Taiga, a Plateau, a Tundra, a Tropical Island, and a Savannah, all alpha. You can run 1 copy of each dual land, and you can run all 9 dual lands if you want. This was a red-blue deck. Volcanic Island would have been the best dual land to run, but they didn't print it in alpha, so I have to use other mana sources. I do run 16 basic lands and dual lands to get 40% of the mana base. I find that generally gives me 2 to 3 lands in my opening hand, which is what you want to cast some cards. I ran 1 Soul Ring for colorless mana, 3 Black Vices to do damage to them with cards above 4 in their hand, 1 Iron Star to gain life off my red spells or their red spells, 1 Chaos Orb to flip and do destruction on the board, 1 mana short to tap them out and take basically an extra turn or cast anything that I want to at will. 1 copy artifact to copy usually Black Vices, but I can also copy a Soul Ring if I need to. 1 copy of Timetwister, which is the power card. You can only run 1 power card in your deck each month. 3 copies of Lightning Bolt for direct damage or to get rid of small creatures. 3 copies of Stone Rain to destroy their lands and disrupt their mana base. 3 copies of Fireball for direct damage. Can also be like a balance and get rid of multiple creatures. 3 copies of Disintegrate, which can do direct damage or also remove creatures from the game like Swords to Plowshare. 1 copy of Fork, which can copy the Fireball or the Disintegrate or any of the other sorcery and instant spells on the table. 1 copy of Disenchant to get rid of sneaky enchantments or artifacts. And finally, the draw card, I'm using Regrowth to get the Timetwister back and repeat that cycle. So this deck did pretty well. It went 2-2 on the month, which was good enough for the finals. The first match, I ran into a mono black deck that was running multiple Sengir Vampires and I think Hypnotic Specters as well. But he got me in the first game with 2 Sengir Vampires, and then he got me in game 2 with 2 Drain Lives, which is a really good card. They gain life off the damage, and I lose life, so it's a very good card, and so they ended up getting the first match. The second match, I played a friend of mine who is a viewer of the YouTube channel, got into Alpha 40 from watching YouTube. He was running a mono red deck. It was good to see him again. Our decks were very similar, but he ended up winning the first game with a Power Surge and a Fireball. The Power Surge kept me off of the blue mana because I had to tap the blue mana a lot to just burn X spells and not have to take damage from Power Surge. So I'm considering picking up a Power Surge and putting it in the deck in future months. And then the second game, he also won with Power Surge. It was just that good of a card in this matchup. The X spells were good for me. I was able to get around Power Surge a little bit, but it just forced me to use my blue mana to prevent damage, and I couldn't Timetwister as effectively. Then I did better the second half of the month. In the third match, I faced a red, green, white player who had played before. He earthquaked himself in the first game to take the loss, and then he conceded in the second game after I had Stone Rained his mountains and forked and fireballed. So he Was a great opponent. And then in the fourth and final match, it went 4 games. I won 2-1. We had one draw. The first game, I fireballed him for the win. The second game, he fireballed me for the win. The third game, I had a fork and almost psionic blasted his fireball, but I thought maybe he had a counterspell backup. So I waited a turn, and then he cast 2 psionic blasts when we were both kind of low on life. He was at like 4 and I was at 8. So I waited and I forked the second psionic blast, and that resolved. And so I was able to kill him. All the damage gets assigned at the same time, so we both died to the forked psionic blast. And then in the fourth and final match of that game, I was able to fireball for 2. I had some black vices and copy artifacts out, which were doing damage all game, so he was low on life, and I was able to get there. So that put me into the top 16. I had a bye in the first round, so that luckily pushed me to the top 8, which I think this is my third top 8 in the tournament of the format. I faced an opponent that I had played 3 years previously in the playoffs. He was on a blue-white deck. He was the second most all-time champion in the league. He'd won the monthly league 7 times. So he has a very powerful deck. The first game, he won the die roll, and I lost that game. He had a Mahamoti Dijin on the table, which I was able to successfully Chaos Orb. Then he cast a Jade Statue, which I couldn't disenchant or get rid of, so he ended up winning with Jade Statue in Game 1. Game 2, I was able to Stone Rain his lands, regrow the Stone Rain, and Stone Rain again. He did cast a Jade Statue that game, but I was able to disenchant that one. And then I drew a Timetwister with black vices on the board, and that was end of Game 2. Then we went to the third and decisive Game 3. That was a great opening. I had a couple lightning bolts. I had some Stone Rains. He ended up getting out 2 Jade Statues. I did get a mana short in there, but then he drew a Time Walk and was able to attack with 2 Jade Statues, and that kind of did me in. So congrats to him. It was a great month. This deck did pretty well, to my surprise, in that format. But in Las Vegas, I picked up a Wheel of Fortune in Alpha, which is one of the power cards. So I'm thinking about swapping Timetwister for Wheel of Fortune. You can see Wheel of Fortune on the playmat here, on this Alpha 40 playmat. It's up there in the corner. I got to see the original artwork of Wheel of Fortune while I was in Vegas. That's pretty cool. I made a short of that if you're interested in seeing some Alpha artwork. So this month, I'm going to take out Timetwister. I'm going to put in Wheel of Fortune. And we're going to go with a more red build this month. I'm also going to put in a Shatter, because it would have been nice to have 2 disenchants. But I'm going to take out Copy Artifact and put in a Shatter. It's the red disenchant, but it only shatters artifacts and not enchantments. So I do like to keep one, splash some white and keep 1 disenchant just in case they have a Power Surge or a Gloom or something really tricky in the enchantment that I need to get rid of. I'm also going to try a Channel, so I'm going to take out this mana short and put in a copy of Channel, which costs 2 green, but you can use your life and provide colorless mana to your mana pool, and it combos really well with Fireball or Disintegrate. You can use 10 of your life and do 10 damage to them. So we'll try that out this month. And then to equalize the mana base, I'm going to put in 1 basic mountain and take out 1 of the basic islands since we don't have any blue spells in the deck. I should put in another mountain, but I'm short on mountains, so I'm just going to use this Badlands. It only does damage to me if my opponent is running Karma, which is pretty rare, but it will give me black mana if I need it. I don't have any black spells, but it also lets me represent all 5 colors. So I take out an island for the Badlands, and then finally I'm going to put in 1 copy of Basic Forest just for this Channel in case I need 2 green sources. I'll take out the island for that. I will keep the Savannah and Tropical Island and Tundra in. I don't need the Tundra or the Tropical Island for blue sources, but again, it'll confuse my opponent. They think I might have Timetwister still, and I'll keep the Savannah and the Tropical Island for the green sources so I can play channel. I also have Taiga, which can help me do channel. So that's the build I'm going to run for the month of December. I'll upload this video at the end of the month so you don't get a sneak peek at what I'm playing during the month. You have to keep all the cards in your deck the same for the entire month. So that's what I will do with these cards for the month of December. And then in January, I'll make some changes and do another deck tech and discussion video. So if you want to subscribe, if you're interested in Alpha 40, details in the comments below, how to get involved. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this deck. If you like the build, if you change anything, let me know. I appreciate all the help and suggestions on making the deck better each month. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing all of the friends in the league again. And have a great month, everybody. I'll see you next time on the Alpha 40 League updates. Cheers.